Hey everyone, this is Blue Basser 86. I am coming to you here from my home base in the garage. It's kind of a mess. You'll have to excuse me. It's the winter time. Everything that's supposed to be outside right now is inside, so it's a little cramped and packed in here, but we're making the best we can. I've got it lit up the best I can also, so try to make it so you can see everything. But I'm going to do a overview of my Oldtown Sportsman 120 PDL. So if you don't care about kayak fishing, you don't want to hear about kayaks, this isn't going to be the video for you. I'm going to try to not get rambling too much here, but it's kind of a topic I enjoy, so I'm not going to promise that I don't. So if I get long-winded, I apologize also, but it is what it is. I bought this kayak in 2020, towards the end of 2020. I had just a regular paddle kayak, but I decided that I wanted to get into kayak tournaments, and I didn't like the kayak I had. It was big, got pushed around in the wind really easy, but it wasn't stable. So that was not going to work for me. I did a lot of research. There was a few different kayaks that I liked, and I settled on the Oldtown because I thought it was my best combination of features that I wanted in a kayak as far as stability. It had the pedals because I didn't want to have to register it, because in Kansas, if you have a motor, even an electric motor, you have to register it. I already have 2 boats registered. I didn't have to register another one. So I went with the pedals, and it wasn't super heavy because I didn't want to have to put it on a trailer if I didn't have to. I wanted to be able to throw it in the back of my truck so I could just grab it and go. Kind of ease of use and even more accessibility. You're not having to pull a trailer down a dirt road or through a bunch of mud or something that you might not be able to get through, and just not having to maintenance a trailer. So that was another reason why I went with the Oldtown, and it came really, there's a lot of people that really have good reviews of them and talk really highly of it. So that was another reason why I chose the Oldtown out of all of them that I was looking at. So I'm going to go through some of the features, some of the add-ons that I have added to it, kind of how I have it set up, and then just kind of wrap it up with my overall, just what I feel about this kayak after fishing out of it. I've fished out of it for over a year now, so I've got a lot of time on the water. This isn't I just took this out of the bag, I just took this off the truck, and this is what I think of after I unboxed it. This is a review. This is on the water, lots of use review. You can probably tell a little bit. It's dirty. I was going to go wash it, but, figured if it was nice, shiny, and clean, there's going to be people out here just not going to believe me that, I guess I could throw some dirt on it to pretend like it was pretty used, but I got the videos to prove that it's been used plenty, so. And if you don't believe me, I don't care anyways. But anyways, let's get down to it. So I've got added on the front. I went ahead and put the keel guard on it. A lot of people say you don't need that, but I spent a good amount of money on this kayak, so I want to take care of it. So I added the keel guard to it, just to make sure that I'm not tearing it up anymore. My net always sits right up here on the front. I went ahead and finally extended the handle out so I can actually reach it, because I know that cost me some fish last year. Inside this hatch, I usually just have my battery in here that runs my depth finder. Sometimes I'll have stuff charging in there also off the battery, like my GoPro batteries, but usually I have a little power source that I charge those with. So it's pretty much just the battery that I that I run my depth finder off of in there, and maybe rain gear or something. Nothing too exciting, but you got your drive right here in the middle. It's pretty nice and quiet. It does rock a little bit, nothing real crazy, but there's a little bit of play back and forth. I've heard the reasoning for it. I can't remember off the top of my head what that was, but it's nothing real bad. So I guess if it has to have a little bit of play in it. I think it's something to do with the release mechanism on it, because if you hit something, it'll pop up. You got a little bit of storage right in here. I usually just put my wallet and keys in there. I've added the floating lock nut on there, so if I have to change out a prop on the water, which I've only broke one, knock on wood, so far, I don't have to worry about losing the nut off the back of it, because this floats. Just the pin inside of it that I have to worry about. But I've got a couple props that I carry with me, so I can do that on the water if necessary. But I've added 2 of these Scotty rod holders. These are really heavy duty. They've got backing plates on them. I'm hoping to do some more catfishing out of my boat this next year for big catfish. So I put these big heavy duty rod holders on there to be able to make that possible. I added this Yak Attack anchor trolley, which has been a great addition because I don't have any kind of anchor pole or anything, so I drop that like when it's windy and I'm running fish or something, and I just use a window well weight, which is, I don't know, it's maybe 5 to 8 pounds, something like that, but it holds really well. And I drop that and I can adjust which direction I'm facing, if the wind's at my back, or more importantly, the sun. So if I you gotta make sure you can see the identifier in tournaments. That way I've got the identifier clear and visible. But that's really easy. You tie off to this ring and just run it back and forth through the pulleys. This locks or unlocks with this little lever, locks down on the rope to keep it from sliding or moving around when you're anchored. But I've got this backwater assault paddle, which has been a great addition. One of the local guys here actually had 2 of them, and he gave me this one. I didn't even think I would use it a whole lot, and I use this thing a ton. Not just for adjusting myself, but you can see it's got that little hook on it, so if you happen to be floating by a tree or a stump or a dock or something, you can get that little hook on it and stop yourself, steer yourself. You can use this to push off. It's been a great addition. I usually store my anchor right under here also, but it's in the back of my truck right now, which is outside, so I'm not gonna go get it. I've got the regular, just a standard life jacket, and I started with the inflatable, but after a couple of tournaments where it was really windy and I just kind of had those moments, not where I was like thinking, oh man, I'm gonna flip. I just had the thought of, what if I flip? Because everybody says that, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you end up in the water. I didn't want to have to count on that pole rope working on a inflatable life vest, so I went with this, just a standard life vest, and it didn't take much adjusting to at all. I've gotten used to it, no problem, and now I don't have to worry about, is my life vest going to work? I know this is going to work. This is going to keep me floating, and if I end up in the water, this will keep me above the water. I've fallen in once before on my old kayak, and I was in shallow enough water there that I touched bottom, and it wasn't a big deal, but it could have been because it was like late February, early March, really cold water. But I didn't have to use my inflatable then, but if it hadn't worked, it could have been a big problem. The seat's super comfortable, really easy to adjust. I have done this really cheap modification. I found this off of YouTube, but these are just it's a 2x4. I split it, and you can see I kind of ground it out a little bit, but this is my super cheap, actually free seat risers, and they fit right in this groove really well. I haven't fallen off of them. I've been using them probably 6 months at least, and it didn't cost me anything to make, so that's something I highly recommend if you have an Oldtown or you're thinking about getting one and you don't want to buy the seat risers. Just take a 2x4, cut it in half, and right there underneath the back of the seat. I don't have this strapped down, that's why it's kind of raising up off of there. Otherwise it normally just sits down tight to it. You're supposed to have these straps through here, but I just pulled the kayak out to do this video real quick. This little compartment, this is one of my complaints about it. It's kind of hard to get to, and then it's a really small compartment. Like, there's not much room to be able to get into it. I wish it was a little more accessible, and I wish this was a little bit bigger. I'm sure a lot of people run their batteries to right here, and that's probably why it's small and locking, because they're not planning on getting in and into it a whole lot. And I ended up putting like my spare props and some tools and stuff in there, toilet paper, sunblock, bug spray, stuff that I don't need to get in and out of a whole bunch of times throughout the day. But it'd be nice if it was a little more accessible. And another thing that I would like is if this seat back didn't go all the way through. If this was an actual pouch I could put stuff in, some of the stuff in here I could put in here and I wouldn't have to get in there, and that would be kind of nice. Or if I could put, maybe bottles of water or something in there, it would just be kind of nice to be able to have a little more storage right there and accessible. I've got this is my carbonite catch board. This is the one I use whenever I'm fun fishing, and it's just clipped on. I clip it onto the side of my seat with just a cheap carabiner. When I'm in actual tournaments, got the metal version that I just quick and easy swap out. That way I can go back and forth between the two really easy. My tackle box is a Hart rolling toolbox. I got it at Walmart for, I think they're like $45. This was another idea from off of YouTube. I think I saw it actually on a kayak modification Facebook page first, and I added a little bit myself with these rod holders. These are just cheap Ozark Trail rod holders. I've got 3 on this side. I usually put my spinning reels on this side because they're a little wider. They take up a little more room. And then on the other side, these ones are obviously a little bit closer, so I'll usually put my bait casters on this side. I've got 5 of them on this side, 8 on that side. Plus I've got my 2 flush mounts that come on the kayak. This one faces forward, so this is kind of like my rigging rod holder that I'll put my rod in when I'm rigging, or when I catch a fish I'll put it in there so it can just sit there while I'm taking care of the fish. So I can have 8 or 10 rods pretty easily. Plus there's been a few times I'll even put one up there by my feet, just laying on the floor, so I can have a lot of rods in this kayak, and it does it pretty easily. But this toolbox works really well for a tackle box. I usually have about 3,700 boxes, plus my plastics. Then it's got the storage inside of here. Just a little bit of random stuff. I got some extra hooks, my brush grips in there, some leader line, normally my light and my flagpole I just stored inside here. I just took it out and put it on top so you can see how it works, how it's set up on there. And I put the elastic straps over the rod holders just to kind of help keep it steady. And I guess if I did happen to flip, maybe hopefully it might hold on to my tackle box for me. But I've also got the my taco clip paddle holder right there that comes on the kayak. One thing that I've found that's really important that it took me a while to figure this out, unfortunately. Make sure that these are hooked in, because I have a tendency to leave them out like that, and then everything seems to just slide right back in here and get stuck, and then you end up getting hooked on it or up here on the front. Either way, it slides back in here and you get stuck like on trees or little stick-ups or something, and then you have to back up and it's a pain. I got my fish grips in there. It's already tied off, ready to go. That way when I catch a good fish, I'm already ready to deal with it. You have to be ready to deal with your fish, because otherwise it's just time that they're going to be out of the water and you're not going to be able to release them as healthy as you would otherwise. On the base of my fish finder mount, got my clip. This little device here goes on the back of your cell phone, and that way if you happen to drop it in the water, hopefully you can rescue it. Your steering is right here. That'll make the rudder go back and forth, and you deploy it right here. All you do is go all the way over to the right, and it deploys all the way back here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to slam my rudder into the concrete, but yeah, I can stand up and fish out of it, no problem. I was throwing my throw net out of it a couple weeks ago, which is the first time I've done that. I didn't have any problems doing it. It's really surprised me. I thought it would be a lot more tricky doing that, but I didn't have any problems. I'm hoping to maybe do some bow fishing out of it this summer, see what I can do there. But it's been a lot of fun. I was really pretty sure I was gonna enjoy kayak fishing, but I wasn't, 100%, because I really didn't like fishing out of my other kayak. But it was so hard to control that I spent a lot of time, almost more time, just steering and paddling than I did fishing, and it wasn't fun. I got blown around in the wind so bad, and if the wind blew very hard and you started rocking, I always felt like I was gonna flip. Man, not in this thing, not at all. I've been in some big waves way bigger than I thought I'd be comfortable in, and you're just fine. You're just going through them, no problems, and I can cruise. It's not the fastest kayak in the world by any means. I can cruise low 3.2 to 3.4 miles an hour without trying real hard. You can get up high 3s, low 4s if you really put some effort into it. I'm not in good enough shape to do that for very long. I'm getting winded doing this video, talking too much, so I'm not going to be pedaling real hard for a long time. Maybe someday I'll get myself together a little better and I'll be able to pedal hard for longer distances. But I've had so much fun fishing out of this thing, not just the tournament fishing, but the fun fishing. I fish by myself a lot, so especially the small lakes around here, it doesn't make any sense to haul my boat out just to go fish by myself for a few hours. And I feel like I probably catch more fish out of it because it's the stealth issue, or the stealth factor of it. I have a lot of fish bite right underneath the kayak, right next to the kayak, that I don't think would have done that if I'd been running my trolling motor and all the electronics, and the boat's just so much bigger, gives off a lot more vibrations in the water. Drafts a lot more water when you're moving through the water. And also just a lot of the people that I've run into kayak fishing, I've really enjoyed a lot of the people that I've met kayak fishing. So that's been another nice added bonus. Even people that I've competed against, it hasn't been like boat fishing that everybody seems to have this really big ego. Kayak fishing is like kind of a big family. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have the big egos, but the groups that I've been with haven't. That makes it a lot more fun. I enjoy, obviously you fish the tournaments and everything. You want to do as good as you can, but I'm there to have fun too. And when people are there, just not being friendly and everything, it's not fun. Or they're cutting you off and trying to crowd you. That's not fun either. And it just hasn't been the case. Everybody's been really cool. So especially last year being my first year, I wasn't looked at like an outsider at all, or at least I didn't feel like I was. So if I was, they were doing a really good job pretending like I wasn't. So, but yeah, if you're looking for a fishing kayak, thinking about getting into tournament fishing in a kayak, I would highly suggest checking this kayak out. It was around $2,500 for me with everything. I got the cart over there, which I did have to modify because it doesn't fit this kayak very well. It's the Sea Tug, which is like a never-ending supply of DIY stuff for kayaks on YouTube, but it doesn't fit on these regular paddles. But if you put this is 3/4 inch PVC, I think 1/2 inch would have worked better. Just put it through the middle of a pool noodle and then zip tie it on there. It fits right up into the channels underneath it and rolls right along. So that kind of fixed that issue. But I got that cart 2 or 3 rod holders that I didn't like, so that was a waste. But I got them. I had to pay for them. But they're the track mount kind that aren't very sturdy, so I can't really use them very much. But I got all that, and it was about $2,500. So you're going to be in that $2,000 to $2,500 range with this thing for a brand new one. So it's not cheap, but it's not like a Hobie. It's not going to set you back as much as a John boat, like a nice setup John boat. It's also light enough that I pick it up and put it in the back of my truck without any issues. I've carried it short distances. You're not going to do that with a Hobie. I'm not knocking Hobie at all. They're great boats, so don't take it like that. I'm not trying to compare the two. I've never fished out of one, so I can't compare the two at all. I'm just, that's my observation. I've seen people fishing out of them. I know they're heavy. You're not going to pick one up and carry it anywhere. This one you can, if that's something that's important to you like it was to me. It's another factor you might want to look at. But yeah, if you're seriously thinking about getting into kayak fishing, this is, I think, a really good one to jump into. It's one that's not gonna really kill your bank account, and if you take good care of it, it's gonna last you for a lot of years, and you could do a lot of things out of it. It's not just bass fishing. Like I said, I'm gonna do some catfishing out of it. You could do your crappie fishing, you could do walleye fishing, you could troll out of it, whatever you want to do. So if anybody has any questions for me, I will do my best to answer. If you want to know where I got any of the stuff that I have set up on it, feel free to shoot me a message, ask a question. I'll do my best to answer. I'm not a professional kayak fisherman. I'm not sponsored by anybody here. I'm not sponsored by Oldtown. It'd be cool, but I'm not. Not sponsored by anybody that's here. This is all out of my pocket stuff. So I'm not getting any money or benefits to saying anything good about anything here. this is just my feelings about it. So that's, I think I'll wrap it up here. I said, if you got any questions for me, feel free to comment, send me a message. If you know me good enough, I guess you can give me a call, and I will do my best to answer your questions. So hopefully we're going to be on the water tomorrow, and I'll have a fishing video posted up before too long also. So until then, we'll see you later.